Welcome to Epilogue Podcast, the show where we discuss some stuff that happened on a different show ages ago which nobody really cares about anymore.
Hi, I'm Portponky.
And I'm LeBloc.
Today we're discussing Deep Space Nine, Season 6, Episode 10, The Magnificent Ferengi. Quark recruits a team of Ferengi to rescue his mother from the Dominion.
What a shame they fall one short of 7.
Yes. I don't know if that matters, though.
No, it doesn't at all, but I still wanted it to happen because the title and setup of the episode is an obvious homage to the Magnificent 7.
The title is, but the actual plot has nothing to do with the Magnificent Seven or Seven Samurai.
Well, the beginning where they're gathering a team.
Well, that, yes, but the actual mission is totally different.
Yeah.
So it was a Ferengi episode. They're always fun. What did you think?
By far, this is the best Ferengi episode. Not that there's a strong selection in that category, but this is so much fun and I loved watching it.
I'm relieved to hear it because it's one of my little favorites as well. There's lots and lots of little things in this episode that make me like it. And it's probably the first Ferengi episode that has genuinely funny moments.
Oh, there are so many and they're sprinkled throughout.
The one that gets me is when in the holo simulation, I think it's Lek shoots Ishka.
Yeah, but his reasoning is really good.
I think that was an excuse, to be honest.
I think so too, but it works. It's so funny. While we're listing off gags, I loved in the beginning where Quark is recounting a story and then he stops himself to confirm details that don't matter at all. Oh, it's my cousin, sisters, whatever the relationship was. He had to stop to think about it, even though it has no impact on the story. People do this all the time where they have to make sure they get these details right that are not critical.
Similarly, when he finds Rom suggests that Quark hides.
That was another good one. That got a good laugh out of me.
That's so Rom-like. They have always liked making the Ferengi act and move and talk in a quite alien manner. But until this episode, it's often just come off as kind of goofy, especially because there's so few Ferengi. Usually there's one or two, but here we have a whole group and the dynamics between them are just crazy.
We have a whole group and they are distinct. That they weren't just a homogeneous group.
They're not copy pastes. Oh, this might blow your mind. They're all recurring characters. You're probably going to say we haven't seen Lek before, but we have.
Okay, that did cross my mind. Where did we see him before?
Remember Ferengi love songs where the Nagus, his brain is melting?
How could I forget?
And there's one scene where Lek is talking to the Nagus, who has given him some advice, and then he leaves. It doesn't say his name, but it's clearly him.
Is it the same actor?
Yeah, same actor.
Okay.
And in the script, it did say his name, but that was not shown in the episode.
Once again, O Nagus, you have proven that you have the wisest lobes in all of Ferengi.
That's what they pay me for.
It's completely bizarre because there's no reason to have this character recurring when no one would remember that he was this guy from before. Well, I guess someone remembered somewhere, but it's really obscure.
I like knowing that. I thought he was a new character, and it was fine. He fit in the episode, he was different. But knowing that he appeared before makes it even better.
This episode also features one of the wackiest guest stars in all of the Star Trek, apart from maybe that one episode of Voyager which had The Rock in it, which is Iggy Pop as Yelgren.
I was very surprised to see Iggy Pop show up.
Did you spot his name in the credits?
No, I didn't look.
Okay. You don't need to know because it's very obviously him.
So we hear his voice before we see him. And as soon as we hear him, I thought, wow, that's an interesting voice. I didn't place it as Iggy Pop, but then we see him and then it's clearly him. And I thought, he has such an awesome voice and great presence. And I have to wonder how this even came about. How did he end up on this show?
He'd wanted to do it, and I think R. Stephen Burr, one of the head writers, had wanted him on the show. They just didn't have a part for him at a time when he was available, and this came up. Although later on, I think Burr said he was a little sad that he was a Vorta because the makeup disguises his appearance a little. Makes him a bit,
but you can tell.
Well, yeah, you can tell. It's harder to have. It's more difficult to be fully expressive when you're in the prosthetic makeup.
Yeah.
I think it's a good choice, though. If you're going to have guest stars which stick out, you kind of want to put them in alien makeup or something so they're a bit less distinct.
It could be distracting otherwise. I have to wonder how people who are not familiar with Iggy Pop, how they take this episode, how they feel about his presence.
Well, I don't think he sticks out or anything. He's just another Vorta. They're all
No, he doesn't.
fairly unique.
But his voice is so cool.
It is. That's actually very true. But Star Trek is chock-a-block with people with awesome voices.
That's true.
Talking of awesome voices, Kevon makes a return as well.
I hate that guy, and I was so happy to see what end he met.
Oh, it's pretty grim. His dead body slamming into a wall repeatedly as it slowly decays.
And definitely suffering that humiliation.
It's great how none of them care. Nog's laughing about it.
When they shoot him, that is my favorite complication in any episode so far. It's so good. They're arguing about profits, and then someone gets shot, and you think, how will they get out of this? It was perfect.
They really screwed themselves over. It's good. The episode needed that sort of twist because it was going too smoothly. Kevon's dying words were, "I hate Ferengi."
He hates everything, though.
Yeah, he's a big grumpy guts. It seems like he just really wanted to live.
I can't blame him for wanting to live, but he's super grumpy.
I think his advice probably wasn't completely off base, though.
The get your wills in order part?
Not just that, but the whole warning that the Dominion will just basically storm the Ferengi team and kill them all as soon as they have a chance.
It's odd that they don't do that. If his fate is sealed, as they said, then what? Oh, yeah, they go over that. They want information from him, but there's no guarantee he'll divulge that anyway.
They maybe have their ways. Who says they don't have a drug for the Vorta that causes them to spill everything?
Fair enough. And I could imagine them wanting to make a show of his execution, make an example out of him. This is what happens when you want to live, you die.
Yeah, that's their style, so it wouldn't surprise me.
There were some things in this episode that would bother me in different contexts, but this episode is funny and it was played for laughs, so it didn't bother me. One example is when Rom and Quark end up in Cisco's office.
Yeah.
So that means anyone could access that room. And well, we've seen how bad security is, etc. But it's funny anyway, so I don't care. And then along with the crawling, oh, go ahead.
I like how Cisco's just sitting in his office doing nothing.
Yeah.
He's just waiting there for something to happen. But they could beam people directly into the office. I don't think it's supposed to be secure, particularly.
And along with the crawling, so Quark was looking for Rom, and if they had to crawl this far after he found Rom, does that mean he crawled that far to find him in the first place? He was just randomly crawling in these ducts.
The idea that he could find someone just by looking around the station is a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, that's preposterous. The station's huge. Maybe I'll get lucky and find him in this tiny crevice that's buried within the ventilation system.
I could imagine the Ferengis thinking like that. They have a weird way of going about tasks.
Is he allowed to use the station's computer? Could he say, "Computer, where's Rom"?
I'm sure with the proper citations, I could come up with the answers, both yes and no, because it's woefully inconsistent. Maybe that's what he did. Maybe the computer said, "Oh, he's in the vents." And Quark was like, "Oh, yeah, okay, off into the vents I go." Similarly to the last episode, this episode works very well on its own, but almost every element is picked up from previous episodes. All the Ferengi apart from Black, you could say. And Ishka, Grand Negus Zek is mentioned. They meet up on Empok Nor. All of this stuff is all part of the bigger picture, but it's made standalone very, very effectively.
I think that's one of the reasons why I like this episode so much. It's really rewarding for someone who's seen every episode up to this one. We see all these people, hey, I know that guy, hey, I know that guy. And then there are all these elements pulled in from the story arc that's going on right now. So it doesn't feel out of place at all, even though it is a comedy episode.
I think the way these episodes can be kind of isolated helps them make comedy episodes. Well, I say that they need all the help they can get because very few of them are actually funny.
Yeah.
So it's refreshing to see they got one right. Well done.
I was wondering if that would ever happen.
This is the only one. It's downhill from here.
The key is to limit Ishka.
She was great in this episode.
Because she didn't have much to say in the time she did talk. It was funny.
I don't think it's her or her character. I think it's just that previously she's only been on Ferenginar, where they get into the whole family strife stuff, which no one cares about. Whereas here, she's interacting with other elements. She's talking to Yelgrun about the roots, getting him to feel her head, see how smooth it is.
Oh, so funny.
Talking about investment portfolios and stuff. And he's really interested.
And when they make the hostage trade, she waves bye. It's so funny. See you later. Thanks for kidnapping me.
That's fantastic.
It's what it reminds me of, those things that we do out of habit, even though they don't make sense. For example, in a restaurant, someone says, "Enjoy your meal," and you say, "Thanks, you too." Like, oh, why did I do that?
It's kind of innocent, though. She genuinely liked Yelgrun. She's not one to judge.
She seemed to enjoy the conversation up until he said he might have to kill her.
Well, she was fine with that. That's just business. I think she doesn't have very many smart people to talk to.
No, she's surrounded by idiots.
And the Vorta tend to be quite on the ball. They're not geniuses, but they do know what they're talking about. And they listen carefully.
It's their burden. They can only listen carefully.
Is that an ears joke?
Yeah. I'm sorry.
You shouldn't make ears jokes in front of the Ferengi.
I had a strange observation during this episode, and that's when part of the crew returns from some behind enemy line mission. Lita greets them, but she only says Dax Julian. She doesn't mention O'Brien. She ignores him. I thought that was weird.
She didn't see him? She presumed he was killed in action?
The secret is O'Brien's been dead this whole time.
Well, he has. He died in Visionary.
And other times.
That's a really weird thing to pick up on. I thought you were going to say they come into Quarks and start bragging about their secret mission.
Well, they needed to overhaul the protocol and security measures. So that seemed normal to me. But 3 people walk in and she greets 2 of them by name. She doesn't say, "Hey guys," or something generic. She says 2 of their names.
But she's not necessarily close to O'Brien. She dated Bashir, and she's friends with Dax.
Okay, fine. It's still weird.
Fair enough. I really want to try syrup of squill.
Why?
Because it sounded so delicious.
No, it doesn't.
Well, not the name, but just the way everyone was looking at it.
The name alone is enough to keep me away.
Really?
No. But
Syrup is good.
Squill?
Yeah, what's wrong with squill?
It sounds bad.
Does it?
It sounds like the word swill.
Kind of. It sounds more like squirrel.
That's better?
Yeah, who wouldn't want syrup of squirrel?
You want squirrels ground up into a molasses?
Mmm.
Ugh.
I like the Quark story about that involved a guy buying Ferengi rain shoes without drawing the connection that Ferenginar is an incredibly wet planet. Thus, they would have very high quality wet weather gear.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it's clever. They thought about everything. There's one thing I kind of wish happened in this episode that didn't.
What's that?
It would have been nice at the end if Quark had been lying about the reward all along. And
Yeah.
it was actually 100 bars or something, and he told Rom the already lower figure.
That would have been great.
They actually wanted Grand Nagus Zek to appear in this episode, but Wallace Shawn was unavailable.
It works fine without him. I like that there's an episode where they talk about him and he's not in it. Because usually when people talk about a character, they end up in the episode. So it's nice that we have an example where that's not the case.
Yeah, he is kind of the president of the Ferengi, or however you like to think of him. So it's odd that whenever they talk about Zek, he walks in the door.
Yeah, he should be coming up in more casual conversations.
Supposed to be ruling an empire. Why is he mucking about in this bar?
Repeatedly.
Moving on, do you have any wise words for our readers?
I have responsibilities, and my responsibilities don't want me to die.
I can't even remember who said that.
Rom did.
Oh, yes. Self-preservation is a rarely seen thing on this show.
Usually everyone's volunteering for everything.
People look down on the Ferengi because they like to survive.
They value their lives.
Yeah, when Cisco says, okay, it's a suicide mission, I need 3 volunteers, the chances of coming back are 1 in a million. There's usually 50 people lined up, and half of them aren't even Starfleet. We'll do it, no problem. It's almost played as a negative trait sometimes that the Ferengi are kind of casually selfish.
It seems as if wanting to stay alive is seen as cowardice in this show.
O'Brien could tell them that the opposite is true. Sometimes staying alive is the hardest thing.
They all make it back, though.
They do. And I'm glad they didn't kill off any of these guys. They're all likable.
Oh, that would have been a waste and would have been a downer on this comedy episode.
Yeah, you don't kill people off in the middle of a comedy.
Haha, wasn't this great fun? By the way, this guy, he's dead.
Well, they did kill off Kevin.
But he should die. He was terrible.
He was uniformly a horrible person and a real downer about everything. He fulfilled his responsibilities to die.
Not by his own hand.
True, but he did it in the end. He finally managed to die.
It was his plan all along. Rile them up so that one of them accidentally shoots him.
Yeah.
No, he's not that clever.
All he is a grumpy. Let's move on to the next episode. I'm very animated.
That's fine. I'll draw you.
What? Like one of your French girls?
Don't ever let go.
Well, I'm gonna let go of this episode. Let's go!
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's go.